Pasha Beryl is a YouTube creator known for traveling deep into remote and atmospheric locations, documenting unusual environments that most people rarely visit. But on January 10th, 2026, a routine trip into a national nature reserve slowly turned into something far more unsettling than he expected. The reserve itself covers nearly 10 square miles of thick forest. During the time this video was recorded, a man had already been missing there for 4 days, but for privacy reasons, his identity wasn't immediately shared, and official search teams had reportedly begun looking through the area. Pasha wasn't a detective, nor was he a part of law enforcement. He had simply come as a volunteer. At first, the walk felt pretty normal, but after a while he found a small campsite tucked between the trees. A tent, some basic supplies, and a few things scattered around as if someone had just left. And about a mile away, near an old set of railroad tracks cutting through the forest, something under a small bridge caught his eye. Lying there on the ground was a GoPro camera, a little dirty and totally dead. Later, after returning home and charging the device, he reviewed the footage stored inside. Most of the clips showed normal moments of hiking and setting up camp. However, as night approached, something disturbing happened. Faint noises could be heard outside the tent, and they were growing louder by the second. The final clip ended abruptly near the same railway bridge where Beryl had found the camera. The missing man was later identified as Victor, a 28-year-old, and experienced in outdoor travel. The following day, Pasha followed the railway line deeper into the reserve, walking for miles while calling out and searching for anything unusual. But as daylight faded and the forest grew darker, the silence felt heavier. With no new traces discovered and night approaching quickly, he decided it was safer to leave. Later, the footage was handed over to authorities, and the forest returned to stillness, leaving behind only questions and a story without a clear conclusion. Novice Wild Camper is a channel run by a solo outdoorsman. It's usually all about quiet hikes, easygoing trips, and relaxed wild camping. This one also started like any other overnight camp until the darkness brought something that didn't belong out there. December 20th, 2021. That day, Mad had been working nearby and decided to use the opportunity to spend a night on White Edge.
So I'm at the Peak District. Been working up this way, so thought I'd take the opportunity to come and sneak out into Mesna country.
A viewer recommended the spot, and the evening looked perfect, bright moon, and a gentle chill in the air. He walked in along the trail, past pockets of low mist hanging in the valleys, and found a place to set up his tent. Once camp was up, he settled into his normal routine, boiling water for his cheap teriyaki noodles, making coffee, and enjoying a bit of Jack Daniels while the temperature kept dropping. Around 9:30 p.m., Mad crawled into his sleeping bag and tried to get some sleep. That's when things changed. He had camped alone many times and knew what animals sounded like, but just as he started drifting off, a low, guttural cry echoed somewhere out in the dark.
Right, so I've heard deer, I've heard foxes make some really weird noises at night. But
It wasn't a bark or a scream or anything familiar. It sounded heavier, rougher, like something struggling for breath between each sound. Mad stayed vigilant, trying to guess what it might be. The noise came again, this time a little closer. He whispered into the camera, trying to stay calm, but his voice dropped as soon as the sound rolled across the hillside again.
not sure if the camera picked it up, but God knows what it is. It's quite a weird guttural sound. I'll try and boost it on the edit, see if you can hear it, because that is really weird. Did you hear that? That's quite eerie. It does not sound like a deer. Definitely doesn't sound like a fox.
He sat perfectly still, waiting for footsteps or movement outside the tent. But nothing came. Mad stayed zipped inside his tent, not eager to shine a light and find out what was outside his tent. The place was pitch black, and whatever made that noise was close enough to unsettle him in a way he hadn't felt before. He tried to settle down shortly after and muttered a half-joking line, but there was tension behind it.
I'm gonna zip up and put my earplugs in, I think. Try and get some sleep, and hopefully I'll still be here in the morning.
Something about that sound didn't sit right. By sunrise, he had already been up for hours. The night had dropped to around 2 degrees Celsius, and condensation covered the tent walls. The strange cry didn't return, but another odd sound took its place.
I'm acting like I've just woke up. It's about 7 o'clock. I've been up since 5. Just trying to get some morning shots, which I posted up on Instagram and Facebook. Don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a very weird sounding bird. It sounds like a kookaburra with a sore throat. It's not going to do it now.
It was a harsh, rattling call from a bird he didn't recognize, at least nothing like the usual Peak District birds he was used to hearing. It stayed close to camp, repeating the same rough call until he started packing up. Morning light made the ridge look calm again, almost harmless. But the memory of that deep guttural noise stayed in the back of his mind. He took one last look at where his tent had been, slung his pack over his shoulder, and headed back toward the car. The night had been creepy, and whatever had roamed out there made it very clear he wasn't alone. By the Curb, run by creator James Burton, is usually a relaxed van life channel. His videos focus on travel, simple living, and the small everyday moments of life on the road. But this night in Sunderland turned into something he never thought he'd experience. January 16th, 2025. It was just after 5 a.m. when James hit the recording button on his camera, still shaken and trying to breathe normally. Indeewood's Outdoors is a channel devoted to mountain life and solo adventures. The creator often rides through forests, abandoned cabins, and remote trails on his bike. However, on January 18, 2026, a routine bike ride turned into an unexpectedly tense and unsettling experience. That day, he set out alone, weaving through dense trees, heading toward a drilling rig he had spotted earlier, curious to explore the area. The path was rough in places, forcing him to navigate carefully over snow, ice, and uneven terrain. As the sun began to set, he stopped at a small clearing, catching the warm glow of sunlight behind distant mountains. While exploring this alternate path, he noticed a black plastic cover partially hidden under some brush. Curious, he stopped and walked over to investigate, but under the cover, he found something completely unexpected.
Check this out. This is brutal. Okay, so Andy and I were wheeling up here, like just on the back when we came back from one of our trips. And anyways, over there we seen that there was a bunch of gas cans and a little scooter, like it just had drug heads written all over it. Now look at this. Man, they have got a major trail through here. Jackal's big trail. I don't know what's up there, but all I can smell, it smells like a skunk. I just looked in this bag. I don't know what it is. It looks like guts or something. Yeah, it's a skunk. What the frick is going on here? That is weird. You see that? There's a skunk in there. And I said that on my camera when I first came in. I thought I could smell a skunk. So I'm gonna call Fish and Wildlife and let them know what's going on. This is dumb. I don't know what's going on.
Around it were gas cans, old bicycles, and various pieces of trash, suggesting that someone had been using the spot to dump unwanted items.
Look at this, frames, gas cans, boats. Holy man, they have one hell of a beaten path. They might be in there right now, actually. Boots and... Holy man, I could still smell that skunk. I don't know if this is like the bike trail or if these guys made this. Look at this. Like, how can the police not know about this? Anyway, I'm not going any farther.
The discovery was startling, and he realized the area could be somewhat dangerous, or at least unpredictable. He carefully returned to his bike and left the area, feeling a mix of relief and unease. For viewers, the video was both a warning tale and a rare glimpse into what can happen during solo exploration.